This is the complete family tree of demons. You're going to be shocked when you see how many different types of evil spirits are mentioned in the Bible. But in order to understand where they came from, we need to start at the very beginning. Before God created the humans, He created the sons of God. These were divine beings who were made up of at least 3 different categories, like the Watchers mentioned in the book of Daniel. I personally believe that the Watchers are the key to understanding the origin of most of the demons in our family tree. But the category you're probably most familiar with are the angels, like Michael the Archangel. The term angel just means messenger, and they were tasked with delivering important information to mankind, like the angel Gabriel, who showed up at Mary's house to announce she was going to give birth to Jesus. But these creatures here, called the cherubim, are the key to understanding the origin of one evil spirit you've probably heard of before. Anytime these creatures are mentioned in the Bible, they are always surrounding God's throne and praising Him, like the living creatures mentioned in the book of Revelation and Ezekiel. And these things look crazy. They're usually pictured as animal-human hybrids with wings. Ezekiel even tells us that he saw 4 of these living creatures, accompanied by strange-looking multi-eyed wheels. The appearance of their workings was, as it were, a wheel in the middle of a wheel, and their rims were full of eyes all around the 4 of them. And these wheels moved with the living creatures. Some scholars believe that these multi-eyed wheels are part of God's throne and represent God's ability to be everywhere and see everything all at once. There are also the seraphim, who the prophet Isaiah saw surrounding the throne of God. And of course, they had a bunch of wings and eyes as well. But this is the only time seraphim are ever mentioned in the Bible. At least, that's what I thought. Turns out the word seraphim actually appears 2 other times in the Bible, but those times are clearly referring to venomous snakes. This has led some scholars to believe that the seraphim had the appearance of a snake. Archaeologists have even discovered ancient Israelite seals that have snakes with wings on them. With this in mind, take a look at another creature called the anointed cherub. This was one of God's most beautiful creations, who had the appearance of many precious stones and even had the ability to create incredible music. The Bible says that he was in Eden, and when we read the book of Genesis, this creature is also called a snake, until he sins and becomes the most famous villain in the world, Satan. But believe it or not, Satan was just the first of many different kinds of evil creatures, like this one here, Azazel. He was a spiritual being that's mentioned in the book of Leviticus when Moses and the children of Israel were wandering in the wilderness. We'll get to what Azazel was doing in this ancient desert in a moment, but because he's mentioned in the Bible as an evil spirit, you gotta wonder how he became so evil. The truth is that the Bible doesn't tell us, but ancient Jewish tradition does, which is why I'm going to place a question mark next to him. There are many ancient Jewish texts that are not in the Bible, but can give us an idea of how ancient people thought about these crazy Bible stories. Like the ancient Israelites believed that Azazel was one of the leaders of the Watchers, who led some of them down to earth to do something that was an abomination to God. Now, although the Bible doesn't specifically mention that their leader was Azazel, or even that the Watchers were the ones who rebelled, the Bible does tell us that some of the sons of God did rebel. The Bible says that they broke the barrier between heaven and earth without God's permission by doing the unthinkable. These divine beings made babies with human women. The Bible says that these angelic human baby hybrids became giants on the earth who began to violently rule the world. Tradition even says that they were cannibals, but the rest of the ancient world thought that these guys were heroes, not villains. Like the Mesopotamians and Egyptians believed that their ancient kings were also birthed by the gods. But while the Mesopotamians and Egyptians celebrated their divine warriors and praised